Welcome to the Crystal Palace preview, where we've managed to kidnap an Arsenal fan from the Gunners subreddit, the appropriately named GunnerFan99. He's here for the next few minutes with us, or with me rather, to talk over the Arsenal game this coming weekend. And we've got some exciting, insightful questions that the sub has donated towards the conversation. Yeah, please introduce yourself.
Hello, nice to be here. Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan. Yeah, from Australia. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
This game seems to have come around really quickly. It was only just the other day that we were playing you, the 28th of December, I think it was. You came down to Selhurst. Palace played pretty nicely. Unfortunately, the result went Arsenal's way. But I was at that game, and I felt we gave a pretty good account of ourselves. And Arsenal weren't too bad either. A certain Jack Wilshere, the next Paul Gascoigne of 5 or 10 years ago, played pretty well.
He did.
Kind of bossed it, had a really nice way of falling over every time a Palace player came near him and getting a foul, whilst Wilfried Zaha just could not get the same treatment from the referee going the other way. What do you think the lineup's going to be this week?
For Arsenal, I'm expecting Kolasinac, or however you pronounce his name, probably might come back into the team. I'd like to think Ramsey might be given a start because he's come back from injury. Obviously, Alexis will be gone, Walcott will be gone, so spot's taken up on the bench there. Hopefully we might have a signing by then.
Okay, and who are you hoping for as a signing, or even what position if you don't know who it's going to be?
To be honest, if my actual main priority, I might get a lot of flack for this, I'd go for Johnny Evans. I think we need a defensive reinforcement who's got a lot of experience in the Premier League level. He's won titles, he's not a slouch, he's a good defender. And at Arsenal, we really need a person who can actually defend, because Koscielny, usually he's been really good, but his Achilles injuries are really catching up to him and he's struggling recently. Mustafi's actually improved recently because he's been very shaky throughout his Arsenal career till this point. But yeah, Chambers and Holding are still very raw and inexperienced. So yeah, we do need a player like Johnny Evans to come in and sort that out. Excellent.
Well, let's hope that perhaps he signs on the Monday and can't play in this game from a Palace perspective. But having seen Arsenal, say, only a couple of weeks ago, they were reasonably solid at the back from my perspective. But yeah, I think it's very hard to play against Wilfried Zaha, whoever you are. I think when you've got him running at you at full speed, it's a challenge. I think it's an awful lot easier to play against Christian Benteke. But it's interesting to hear your take on it. So no Walcott, no Sanchez. You think they're going to be gone?
If not by then, they'll be gone today.
Mkhitaryan, is he going to come the other way, and you'll have Mkhitaryan in the match day squad, or is there no space for him with Özil?
If Alexis leaves to Man United, which is 95% going to happen in the next 48 hours, and we get Mkhitaryan coming the other way, even though from what I've heard, Mkhitaryan doesn't want to come to Arsenal since we're a level 2 down for him. But yeah, if Mkhitaryan is swapped, he'd definitely start, I say. Probably replace Welbeck.
And what about Iwobi? Is he going to be playing, or is he
I like Iwobi.
Got some more Airbnb parties to go to?
Yeah, I've heard about that. I think Iwobi's he gets a lot of flack because the issue many people have with him is that he always looks forward, but he's got no options in front of him. Like, you always hear Arsenal fans complain about the sideways, the backwards and all that. Iwobi is one of the players who always seems to look forward. And when he has no options in front of him, he has no choice but to turn back. And when he turns back, he looks so hesitant that the fans seem to think that that's all he does because they remember that in their heads. He's actually a great player. And if you let him drive from deep, he's actually really good. I'd like to think, in terms of dribbling style, Obviously, he doesn't have the dribbling ability and pace of Wilfried Zaha. He's got that ability to drive.
Yeah, well, I think that's a fair comment. I don't think many people have the dribbling ability of Zaha, but he definitely. There's a former Arsenal player driving towards the goal the other day for Liverpool, with a nice goal for Oxlade-Chamberlain. And I kind of look. They're obviously very different players, but I know what you mean about Iwobi. He's got the ball at his feet and he's running towards the goal. Yeah, big, strong, fast lad.
I'd say he's more like Alexander Hleb. Like I think I saw a few games at the end of his Arsenal career. I'm a bit too young to see him in his heyday at Arsenal before he went to Barca. Not necessarily the final product, but what Iwobi needs to focus on, because he's already got the silky skills and the dribbling and the ability, he needs to focus on making the correct decisions and his movement and all that, because he's more of an attacking player. He's a winger. He needs to be able to find more space. This is why I think a mixture of Iwobi and Walcott would have been amazing, for Walcott to have that more creative ability and Iwobi to have that instinct in the final third.
Okay. Well, I think Iwobi's destined to end up at Palace if he flops at Arsenal completely in the Adebayor Shamak kind of. There's now a well-trod path.
Yeah. I guess that's the case with any London club. I guess rejects of London clubs always seem to go to other London clubs.
Yeah, that's. I'm sure we can come up with plenty of examples. I think that Arsenal reject Ian Wright finding his way to West Ham would be a good example of that.
100%.
Okay, so we've covered the lineups. I think one of the questions that I kind of have around the lineup, before we move on to kind of predicting what you think any kind of scores are going to be. Are Arsenal going to play a 3 at the back, or injuries are going to hamper them from playing that?
Okay, if we don't play 3 at the back, it won't be because of injuries, but possibly if we do get a new signing in, like an attacking signing, like, because we've been linked with the Aubameyang, which probably won't happen, Malcolm and Mkhitaryan, obviously. Like, for example, if we sign a Aubameyang, we'll play 4 at the back, in my opinion, because we need the Aubameyang and Lacazette to play. But yeah, we'll definitely play 3 at the back, I reckon.
Yeah, well, I don't mean to ruin your dreams, but I've seen Aubameyang this morning talking about going to China, and yeah, I'd love to see Arsenal compete with that kind of money.
It's not necessarily my dream. But I don't think he's as good as everyone thinks he is. I think he's an amazing player, but obviously, if we got him for 60 million, that would be a coup, like quality business. But he's not. He'd be out.
Yeah.
Well, he'd be on par with Ozil, I'd say. Maybe, if not better, because obviously his scoring record would make him one of the best players in the league, if not top 3. But it depends on how players correlate the form from the Bundesliga. I'm not sure if correlate's the right word, but you see many players transitioning from leagues to the Premier League. It's very tough. But saying that, the Bundesliga, if there is another league that's similar to the Premier League, the Bundesliga is probably the most similar. So if Aubameyang does come here, I think it'd be great.
Perhaps Zaha's too obvious, but are there any of the other Palace players that you look at and think, yeah, I wish they were playing in a red shirt?
I've always loved Johan Cabaye.
Yeah, that I can see. He's a handsome man and a handsome footballer.
I was a bit too.
You think he'd be like a Cazorla replacement, or is he, in your mind, is he doing something else for Arsenal?
I always thought of him like, you see, I'd say I wouldn't start him like as a start. He's like a Cazorla, but not as good, if that makes sense. He'd be a backup to Cazorla, but obviously Cazorla's injured. And if I look at realistic signings we can make, which are quite similar to Cazorla, obviously not as good as him, because I have never seen a player with as much technical brilliance as Santi Cazorla in an Arsenal shirt, if not the Premier League, to be completely honest. That might sound biased.
I think you'd have some Palace fans who would happily have a fight with you over the looks of Mr. Cabaye and the ability and workhorse factor. But yeah, I don't think many Palace fans would put up a strong argument to say that Johan Cabaye was necessarily as quick-footed or as deft-touched as Santi Cazorla. I think we've all seen those YouTube videos where he is kind of Messi level with his quick feet. So after Cabaye, is there anyone? You don't fancy Wayne Hennessy?
A few years ago, I would have said Balassi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think he'd have made a good Arsenal player.
Um,
But sadly, I think for Arsenal, the same problem with Balassi is going to come true for Zaha, and I don't think Arsenal are going to pony up enough money to prize him away. So, rounding off the more sensible questions, what's the result going to be on Saturday? Because after Palace, Arsenal have got the midweek game with Chelsea for the semi-final of the League Cup. So what's more important to Arsenal here? The league or the cup? Because Arsenal at the moment struggling to get in the top four. Are they going to do a Mourinho and switch priority to win a cup to get into Europe? Or of course they could, try and win the Europa, I guess.
Well, the way I look at this is that imagine you're a player from a club. Let's say you've had a quality season in League and you want to move to the Premier League. Would you prefer to move to a club that just got themselves top 4 Champions League football, or a club that finished 6th and won the Carabao Cup? You'd obviously want to go play in the Champions League. So I'd say getting top. Like, you always make fun. Like, I'm sick and tired of hearing Arsenal fans going on about, oh my God, Wenger in the top 4 trophy. I swear, go back to those days. You'd kill to have the top 4 trophy back in your cabinet. Those days are gone now.
I can imagine. It's not a problem Palace have had, I'll be honest with you. It's, I think, maybe next season, in Roy's final season, he cements his legacy by getting Palace into Europe. But at the moment, I think, that's a Palace dream to worry about top 4 or 6. But your point stands, and I think, I think focusing on the top 4 is probably better. But does Wenger want to go out on a high? Does Wenger, is he going to rest players for Saturday with Chelsea in mind?
I think if saying Wenger's going to go out on a high would be winning a B-Tech FA Cup. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a great high to go out on. I think that would be the butt of jokes for decades to come. But yeah, on a serious note, I think Wenger obviously doesn't like. I can't remember who exactly started in the first leg, but I don't think it was our best team. He's definitely going to prioritize the game against you guys. He might rest 1 or 2 players, but I doubt he'll rest the top ones unless they've got a niggling injury.
That could be good for Palace with the no Walcott, no Sanchez, and Mkhitaryan, the greatest name in Scrabble, getting unlikely to start if he has signed. Okay, so onto a score prediction. What do you think the score is going to be?
Every time I think that we're going to win, I keep on having flashbacks to that Balassi goal a few years ago at the Emirates.
Lives long in a lot of Palace memories. And obviously last year, when you came to Selhurst, was better than this year. But I think for me, and I'm happy to volunteer my thoughts ahead of yours, I think that for me it's going to be a score draw. I don't think Palace are tight enough at the back not to let a goal in. If Arsenal can play as tidily as they did at Selhurst, and obviously at the Emirates it's more of a challenge anyway. But I think on the back of some decent recent results for Palace, I don't think our boys are going to go in scared to the game. And I think with Arsenal, with the Carabao Cup still going on, it's a bit like their Christmas schedule hasn't really relented. So their players are going to perhaps be a little more tired. I could see this being a score draw. I think a 1-1 or a 2-2. So what's are we going score draw? Are we going no score draw? Or does the worst happen and you're prepared to put your head on the block and say that this is going to be an away win for the mighty Palace, which will endear you to the subreddit, but may alienate you from the Gunners subreddit forever?
I'd say, I reckon 2-1 to Arsenal, but I wouldn't be surprised if it flips the other way. It'll be 2-1. Okay, no,
I think that's fair. I think you'll probably get quite short odds on that result. Okay, so if we've gone through most of the sensible questions. I think there's the key question. So the match becomes one of these Zaha debates. Zaha takes a tumble in the box. Wenger's on his feet, gesticulating to the Emirates, conducting like 60,000 angry fans, 2,000 Palace fans in the corner.
He doesn't get up.
Well, okay. It's cold. Let's assume he's won the fight with his pocket, got his hand out, and Roy walks over, gives him a shove, and there's a fight. Who's going to win the fist fight? Roy Hodgson, Arsene Wenger?
Well, it depends how many fans streak the pitch and just get into the battle. Like, the Crystal Palace fans obviously know. So if they supply a few to Roy, it'll be quite a hard battle for Arsene to come out with victory in the end. Like, he'll say he wouldn't see the incident, but he was literally being wrecked by Roy Hodgson. Like, obviously, what happened to you, dude. But yeah, I can just imagine Roy looking at him in the eyes, and Wenger's just like, look, I did not see this. But yeah, that's
excellent.
I don't.
No, I like that. The accent was good as well. It was like he was in the room. I was there. I was teleported onto the turf at the Emirates, watching it happen.
I saw the incident.
Yeah. So next, great question from user Public Fire Hazard from the sub. Would you rather fight 3 Wiltshire-sized Mertesackers or 1 Mertesacker-sized Wiltshire? For me, there's only one way to go here, but I'm going to let you lead us off.
Oh yeah, Wiltshire-sized Mertesackers, because Mertesacker, he's fucking gentle. Like, he doesn't look like he could hurt anyone. Like, you watch him play, like, every time, like, he gets a yellow card, he's like, looks like he just killed a person. Like, he's head in hands. Like, what have I done? Like, he's praying for forgiveness.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would absolutely pick 3 Wiltshire-sized Mertesackers. I think you could take those kids to the park. They'd play nicely. There wouldn't be a fight. They're very, they'd be nice young men they wouldn't want to go to the pub unless it had like a swing set and a kind of slide out the back. But no, so for me, it's a great question, but there's only really one answer. And yeah, I think you can't talk to an Arsenal fan without asking them their views on Arsenal TV. So go for it. What's, one of the questions in the sub was which is your least favourite Arsenal fan TV character? But that's kind of like asking which is your favourite of the Muppets. You can't have a favourite. They're all great. But you tell me.
Well, some of them, I disagree with their views on Arsenal, but some of them I just fucking hate as people. Well, can I swear? Sorry. Some of them I literally hate them as people. It's like, for example, with Mo, I agree with him on Arsenal, but he just seems like such a
Which
dickhead.
one's Mo? Is that Fan Blood Man?
No, that's Troops. Mo, you probably, if you're not like into it, you probably don't know who Mo is. He's the guy who always talks about net spend and always talks about politics and really.
Yeah, no, we don't have a lot of net spend issues at Selhurst.
Football, man.
And who's the fella that runs it? The what's his name? Robbie.
Robbie, yeah, Robbie. Absolutely beautiful guy. I met him when he was in Sydney to watch Arsenal. I took the train from the game home with him. Yeah, and everyone was swamping him. Like, he was trying to do interviews, but he could only do like 2 because there were thousands of people. And the police were like, what the actual fuck is going on? It was ridiculous. They had to get security for him and shit.
I can't imagine an Australian policeman swearing. That sounds so unlikely. But
oh, bloody oath, mate. Bloody oath. They all do.
This has been quite a useful insight into Arsenal, which is something we don't look often as Palace fans into the realm of the top 6 and above. It's slightly trepidatious for us with our recent history. We never took many points there, but fortunately Arsenal have been one of the scalps in recent years as we've improved and grown a bit more optimistic. But thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us your views. And
you're welcome.
Be crying into your Fosters, but I think I'd be happy with a score draw, and hopefully you would be too.
It's nice to be on this. Nice to be on this podcast. I've never done this before. It's been hopefully as I do more.
Being a lucky rabbit's foot for the Palace on Saturday, we'll be inviting you back for every Arsenal game, if not every week.
Oh mate, I'll come on every day. Have a daily podcast.